Hi, we're here with Philipp Osl. Phil is a research fellow at the MIT AgeLab. He's a doctoral candidate at the University of St. Gallen, and he hails from Austria. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Angelina.
So what is it that you do here at the AgeLab?
Well, over the last year I've been involved with MIT AgeLab's research on housing with a special focus on aging in place. Now, I guess first of all it's important to understand that when we talk about housing, we do not only think of housing options. What I mean is the facilities where older people live or where they might live in the future. Okay. Facilities is just one piece in a more comprehensive system approach that we take to this question of how older people can age in place. So we also think about what kind of services, for example, might enable older people to stay in their own home. We think about the potentials of innovative technologies that may support daily routines. And we also think about how we can keep older people engaged in the community, so how we can increase their social participation. Now, let me just give you a little example what this actually means in the research that we actually do. So in a study we conducted on so-called active adult communities or lifestyle communities, we first started with having a look at the facilities. So just to see how those homes are built, whether they are built in a way that you could live there even as you get older, and for example physical impairments may occur. But this definitely does not lead to a good assumption whether those are good places to age in place, because definitely more than that is important so that you do have kind of good quality of life as you age there. So in the second step we also looked at the services that are offered by those communities themselves, and we also looked how close different other services like public transportation, hospitals, grocery stores and things like that are to those communities. And in the third step we then talked to the residents living there so that we could get an impression, for example, what role the community sense, the programs and activities offered in these communities plays in their decision to actually move to such an active adult community. And I guess, yeah, it's really important. I strongly believe that we have to take this kind of system approach to come up with good ideas how aging in place should look like in the future.
Right. So we have 78 million baby boomers thinking about retirement right now, and most of them would like to stay at home. So could you give some specifics as to what kind of options are out there for them?
Well, what became very obvious to me almost immediately as I came here to the United States is that here there is a way more diversified set of different housing options. We do have, for example, those active adult communities. We do have independent living facilities. We do have continuing care retirement communities, and so on and so on. So one of the initial hypotheses we had for our research here at the AgeLab was that active adult communities, since they target people aged 55 and older, might be a good place to where you move, for example, when you retire, and where you could then age in place. Now, as our research shows, however, they are not. Right. So, first of all, those homes are just regular houses. Even very basic adaptations that could enable you to stay in your place as you get older and physical impairments may occur, they were not taken care of at all. Just simple things like handheld shower heads or paddle handles. So from this point of view, they definitely do not suit as a good place to age in place. Furthermore, many of those communities, frankly spoken, are built in the middle of nowhere. So you do not have good access to public transportation. They are off grocery stores, and so it's really hard for you, particularly at that point when you can't drive on your own anymore.
Right.
So it might be nice to live there as long as you can drive your own car.
Yeah.
But since there is no meaningful access to public transportation in many of those communities, you totally rely, for example, on friends, relatives as soon as you can drive anymore yourself.
So you're bringing this European perspective into it. I'm interested to hear what the differences you've observed between Europe and the United States as far as services.
Well, let me first get back to another approach I also had a chance to research here in the United States, which appears to be more promising to me than those active adult or lifestyle communities. This is the villages. For example, Beacon Hill Village here in Boston.
Right.
Those villages are member organizations where older people living in a specific neighborhood try to organize all kinds of different services that might be helpful for them as they age on their own. Now, those villages rely heavily on volunteer work, for sure, but they are also supported with a very limited number of salaried persons that simply coordinate all those services And offerings also include normally some sort of different programs like wellness programs or activities like trips to other cities, visiting museums or exhibitions and things like that. Now, what we could find is that many of those villages actually succeeded, and what we could see actually is that many of those villages already succeeded in forming attractive markets to local service providers.
Okay.
So simply by bundling the demands from their 300 or 400 members, they form an attractive market to those local businesses who would like to become part of this service network. So what we can see is that some sort of local service networks emerge where the village as an organization takes the role of a service integrator. Now this definitely facilitates life for older people because the complexity in dealing with those different service providers is massively reduced. So the village organization is the one and only organization older people can address with whatever need they have. And the village as an organization tries to find the right service provider from this local service network.
Okay.
And they also, for example, try to ensure quality of the services provided. Now, for sure, integration of those networks could go even further. So from a customer's perspective, for example, it would be nice to also have a possibility to receive, let's say, a monthly bill instead of having to pay all those different service providers separately.
Yeah.
But I think what we see now, those villages are a good starting point.
So, as far as the future plans for this, you see this going a step further?
I definitely do, yes. So, as I already pointed out in the very beginning, I strongly believe that successful solutions for aging in place will be a combination of several things: housing facilities, services, technology, community. But yes, I do think that the main challenge will be on how we can make services available and more accessible to older people. Now, the reasons for that actually are pretty simple. First of all, we simply will not be able to remodel all the homes or just build thousands of new barrier-free homes designed for all.
Right.
This simply will not be manageable in any sense. On the other hand, and even more important, I think it's finally all about getting the things done. So your home has to be cleaned. You have to shop for groceries. You have to change light bulbs. You will like to go to the theater, participate in social events and things like that. Now, technology can definitely support those activities. For example, an online shop. But you still will need a service provider who actually delivers the groceries to your home. And as a second example, I simply do not believe that it's very likely that we will see robots changing your light bulbs in your private home. So this is not a very realistic assumption. So I really think that it will be about integrating all those different services, little services, that are currently provided by a very fragmented and very not quite transparent market, so that we can reduce the complexity for older people as they have to deal with those different service providers.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not quite sure who actually will take this role of a service integrator. We do see high interest from housing organizations, for example, who would like to offer housing with services or service-enriched housing. And we can already see a number of quite promising examples all over Europe, for example, and in particular in the Netherlands. But I think the aim of having all those services integrated also is well aligned with the goals of social service organizations. And at least in parts of Europe, also the municipalities, for example, they show high interest in playing a more active role again as a service integrator for older people. So what I expect is that we see a number of different settings emerge, so where different organizations take over this role of a service integrator. And to me, actually, this is the most interesting question of all, so how we, first of all, can address the manifold needs of older people in the best way, how we can make it affordable, which means that we probably have to integrate volunteering work and professional service providers. We have to think about innovative funding schemes, and how, after all, the underlying business models will look like. And this is what my further research will definitely concentrate on, now here at the AgeLab, and then even back at the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland.
Well, great. Thank you for your time, Phil.
Thank you.